So, it's Tuesday, and I'm nearing, I don't want to say the end of my journey, because I'm still, got a long ways to go, but anyway, I was around Quainan. I ended up taking a wrong turn going east, and as a result, basically I'm heading straight north on nothing but back roads, all the way up to Quainan in this case. So that basically means I'm going to be spending the entire day just running the coast through all the tiny little towns and villages. And that may mean some paved roads, some not, but that's how it is in general, I guess. So it's definitely a long route. But man, as I was pulling through yesterday, I noticed that, man, these small towns are just great. Some folks, just live in a tiny one room, 10 by 10, set up with sheet metal. It's definitely way out in the boonies. And out here, the part that I really like is they haven't seen a white person ever. This is not a highway. This is like a 6'8" Somalian man, showing up in the middle of Nebraska. It's really out of the blue for most people. So yeah, that makes it kind of more interesting, because everywhere I go, people stop and stare. And every restaurant I go to, people either stare or they want to come by and buy me beer. One of the two. And I would say, so it's definitely interesting, and I'm really glad, that I'm out here in this part of things. And I guess I can say too that I feel like the roads are a little safer. There's a lot less traffic out here, a lot more bicycles, and a lot more just, again, just chill driveways. You can almost think about it like that. When I say driveways, I've seen more driveways in America that are a lot nicer than the roads that I'm driving on right now. But overall, the whole trip is just an epic win. It's just an absolute win in every way. Every single day is great. Every meal I have is great. Every person I meet is great. Haven't really had any breakdowns or mishaps or anything like that. And overall, I'm definitely doing the motorbike trip like this across the country again, for sure. And if anything, I might do it slower and take more time. Right now I'm spending 2 weeks from Saigon to Hue, which is only about half the country. That's not enough, as people always say. But yeah, related to motorbiking, or motorcycling, I should say, I can definitely say it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's got a lot of downsides that you wouldn't normally think of until you actually do it. For example, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like to sit on a long road trip, like sit on a bike for a long period of time, you're not going to like this. This is going to be hell. In fact, Justin Simpson, he mentioned that after a couple hours, that was the most uncomfortable ride of my life. Similarly, I had a real adventurous gentleman, John, that rolled with me. He made it about, I think, a day plus 2 hours. So maybe probably 5 total hours on the bike. Loved it, but he's like, I'm done. Again, it's definitely not for everybody. So that's one big part. The other big part is, this is really, really, really dangerous. It's really dangerous. This is the most dangerous drive I've ever done. It's, motorcycling in general is dangerous, but man, out here, it's the total lack of laws, basically, or lack of enforcement, one could say. The roads themselves oftentimes have no center line, so people drive on all sides of the road regardless. The larger vehicles just completely ignore the motorcycles, because the motorcycles can get out of the way, whereas they can't necessarily. Beyond that, because the roads are so narrow and they're never 4 lanes, generally speaking, they have to pass each other. So they're going to drive on both sides of the road. And yeah, sometimes they're 3 vehicles deep, one driving on the shoulder, oncoming shoulder, and then one in the main deal, and then the other in the opposite lane. So the only space available is probably about 2 to 3 feet, way off onto the shoulder for the motorcycles, and they all scoot out of the way like a cloud of gnats. Sometimes the shoulders, they're almost never paved, But on top of that, sometimes they abruptly end. Sometimes there's a big hole, you know, like a foot deep. Whereas if you actually hit that with your motorcycle, you will go down and you will probably die. There's a lot of cliffs, you know, on all sides that you got to really worry about. You know, things like that. But I guess the potholes, it's odd that in a country without freezing, they have so many potholes, but I guess it's just how it is. And that's not the worst deal. You can usually drive around them, but every now and then they just come out of nowhere. And really, if you're going down a hill and and there's a pothole that you don't see, that you hit, especially while going down a curve, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. If you hit one of those, you will die. You will die. It is really like the Grim Reaper is always there, just right over your shoulder with the sickle. And there are people that, you know, cross traffic and just ignore stoplights, or there just plain aren't any stoplights in some cities, and then just zip right through. There's a couple of times where it's just, you can feel that sickle of the Grim Reaper just miss your face. Like, there are so many close calls that I've had out here. It's just shocking. So yeah, the danger factor is really huge. I would not recommend this trip or this kind of a trip if you have a lot to live for. If you have a family and kids at home, this is not for you. I would say skydiving is a much better and safer alternative, you know, amongst other things, skiing or whatever. But so yeah, I mean, definitely a major danger factor. But you know, once you start moving past that and get used to that, and of course get good at it, you know, and so forth. This is the most amazing trip I've been on in my life. The most beautiful scenery, the most friendly people, and frankly, the most interesting. I mean, driving around, I mean, you can get the idea a little bit, but driving around mountains, let's say, and then coming down a hill onto a coastal village on the ocean, you know, with a big port there and fishermen, and, you know, that's beautiful. And then to swing in to get some fresh caught seafood that day. That's amazing. And, you know, so there's beautiful things there, beautiful things with the people, and just that raw experience, in my case now, of being in an area where I've never been. You know, better put, where travelers don't travel to. So yeah, again, overall, it's just really, really amazing. Tonight I'm kicking it in another $5 a night hotel room. Loving it. And no hot water, of course, just, you know, the basics. But yeah, taking off here today. I got a full day of riding ahead of me at this point, making it up to Quainan, and or past Quainan, I should say, Hoi An. They get confusing. And Hoi An, which is probably the route that I'm taking, maybe, you know, 8 to 10 hours north of here. I don't know. Maybe it'll be 15. Maybe it'll be 5. I guess it's a really tough call. I'm basically out here, the map is completely irrelevant, you know, for what we're dealing with. A, the roads aren't on the map. B, you know, it just doesn't do you any good. I suppose Google Maps would be a really nice thing to have, and satellite and data connections and all that. But, you know, I'm kind of doing the 1960s, just winging it. At this point, drive north and you'll get there, you know. So yeah, it's quite an adventure in every dimension. The directions, the food, the people, the places to stay, the nature, you know, you name it. And yeah, I'm still alive, but crossing my fingers here, I do have like a piece of paper that I wrote out that has, in Vietnamese, in case I die, call this number, and this number. And here's my email address, here's the email address and contact information, here's my medical insurance, my parents, etc. And I actually have that in duplicate. I have one in my fag bag and I have one in my helmet. So if I die, it'll at least be a quick process of letting the world know. So anyway, hopefully none of y'all get that message, you know, but let's go get it done.